Morning, 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 morning. I'm just doing the classic, waiting for everybody else to jump on. Oh, damn, the AC's not even. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right, we got 4 people in here. Um, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna eat for later on today. It's like I know what I want, but I ain't trying to make it. You know what I mean? Sassy, good morning. How are you? So what I really want to eat is pancakes, hash browns, bacon, cheesy eggs. Um, and the thing is, I crave the one I make. I don't crave anybody else's. Oh yeah. Guys, if you're young and you're in your 20s or whatever, make sure to go out. Okay, so if you're a young person and you're in your 20s, make sure to go out and do stuff, please. Because I've gone out so much and seen so many things and eaten and partied in so many places that I understand old people right now, because all we want to do now as old people is stay at the house and not do anything, because we've seen it all. You know, like, when old people are like, somebody would be talking about, like, oh man, I went to this place and I had the best, like pancakes. Like I said, I had the best pancakes. You gotta go. It's like, I'll just make my own. I'm good. I'll just make my own. Or you gotta go to this place and get these wings. Yeah, I'll just make my own. It's like like wifey and I, just at this point, we know what we want, and every, like, think of a food. Think of a Okay, for example, my wife makes the best wings, the best buffalo wings. She'll go to the store and get Bell and Evans wings, right? Like a family pack of Bell and Evans wings. Bring them back home, marinate them, and, like, I understand, like, people like the crispiness of, like, Buffalo Wild Wing, not Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, right? Because they has like a floury whatever outside. We're not like that. We're more like Buffalo Wild Wings people, where it's like just fried wings. We air fry our wings, and she does it for a certain amount. I don't know how long she does it for, but she air fries her wings for a certain amount of time where they are fall off the bone. So she'll marinate the wings in whatever kind of marinade, preferably buffalo sauce, for a certain amount of time, and then she'll put it in the air fryer and they'll just fall off the bone, right? So it's like, now I've been having her wings for years now, to the point where, like, I don't want to eat anybody else's wings at all. Nobody's wings are better than hers. Nobody's. So it just goes for, like, you just name a food. I've done it. Like, all right, if we're talking about burgers, are there like burger places here in New York that are awesome? Absolutely, absolutely. 7th Street Burger is my favorite burger here in the city. But at the end of the day, Birdo burgers are the best. They're the best. Pizza is another thing. Pizza's like, I'm not gonna make pizza here, but at my old job, I used to make pizzas, and if I had the stuff, like, I'm talking about, like, the actual, like, oven and all that stuff, I make the best. Yo, I used to make a bacon cheeseburger pizza. It was like, yo, It was the base of it obviously was just regular marinara sauce, and then I would do mozzarella cheese, right? But then I would add like bacon. I would add hamburger. I would add cheddar cheese, pickles. I'm bugging. What else did I put on there? I think spinach. That would be quote unquote like the lettuce. Just spinach cooks up better on pizzas than like lettuce. You know. I would add tomatoes, onions, and I would also add. Oh, when the pizza was done, like nice and crispy, I would top it off with a little bit of mustard and a little bit of ketchup. It was awesome. Um, Goat cheese is, but you know what? I'm not a fan of goat cheese, but goat cheese is good though on pizza. You know what I mean? You know what else I like? I like that they do here a lot in New York now. That's like trendy. They do like they have like the squeeze bottle, like you know like when you're baking a cake and you like put frosting on the cake and it's like a squeeze bottle or a squeeze whatever that thing is. Bakers know. They put ricotta cheese in that thing, and then they squeeze little flowers of ricotta cheese on pizza. And I talked about this one time at work, and I don't know. Like I keep switching up with this conversation, but this is the fun part about lives because I just go on like random rants. It's like when you're hanging out with your friends and you're just getting drunk and high, and you're just like going on like you've had like a dozen conversations. But like I'm really proud of myself for my mentality at the age of 44 because I'm always open for like people that are like I'm always open for change and more change and more change. I actually love it. Um, I talked about the ricotta cheese flowers on pizza slices, and I it's hard to relate with like people my age sometimes because a lot of people my age they get stuck in like what it like don't get it twisted. I like me a classic slice and I like a pepperoni slice. But like you gotta move on like, you know, with the times and like see what's going on. Every 10 years there's different shit and new things that are invented. I've never thought I would have like spicy pepperoni with hot honey on pizza. Like Sicilian style, like the squares. I never thought I'd be into it. I'm into that. uh, Vodka pizza. Vodka pizza slices were just a thing. Like it started like 10 years ago. It's not like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's been around for 20, 30 years. I don't know. But like I've never ever in my life seen anybody buy a slice of vodka pizza until a few years ago. And now everybody loves it. I love vodka pizza. So it's just like you got to be open for new shit because honestly, me like I've lived in New York City years ago, back in my 20s, and now being in my 40s, seeing how much the city's changed, I love it. I fucking love it. I think it's great. I think it's definitely changed for the better. Like, I mean, not saying it was bad before, but like, I like that the crime rate in New York is super low now. It's really a tourist attraction, and if any, and when you talk to New Yorkers about this, they're like, "Ah," they hate that. They don't natives don't like hearing that the city's better. They don't like it. But then if I switch the conversation to like, oh, so back in the day was safer. I don't. They don't like that either. It's like, which one is it? So if you're saying it's not as safe today, like it's worse today, you're you're saying that it was better before. So you had a safer childhood 20 years ago than now because now, like you said, it's safer now. They don't like that. They want to say that they grew up in the hood and that it was super unsafe back in the day, and it's just and now it's like way worse. But the danger today was not as bad as the day. It doesn't. The math ain't mathing. So I don't know. I don't know. You see how we went? We like see how my brain works. We went from like New York safety, from pizza to open mindedness and changing your mentality as an old person to ricotta cheese. Dude, this leave, this paternity leave, is kicking my butt in the best way ever. I love it. I'm not one of the I thought I was one of those people that's like, man, I think I'm gonna miss work. I think, man, when I'm like every day I'm just taking care of this baby. Every day I'm just like got nothing to do, just taking care of a baby. I'm gonna miss work. I'm gonna no, no. I hope I hope this paternity never ends. I hope and if you're having a kid out there and you're married, I hope your job provides. I'm talking to men right now. I hope your company provides you a paternity leave. I didn't even know what a paternity leave was. I knew what a maternity leave was, but paternity, like what do they call it paternity? Because of pa, like a maternity leave for mom, and then a paternity leave for a papi. I don't know. But I remember I was talking about my paternity leave a few weeks ago when I was walking to work, and there was like a couple of Europeans in the live stream, and they were like, "What? You get a paternity leave? There's no way you get a paternity leave. It must be like a crap one too, because the USA sucks." Blah blah blah. It's like, dude, Europeans got to stop looking at the United States so black and white. It's not. Yeah, it sucks here. Yeah, the economy's not good. Yes, we don't get all the benefits that other countries in Europe would have, but it's not like the government's doing this. Like the government's hooking it up. Like it's not that. It's this country's not government based. This country is company based. So like, yeah, if you look at the government, our government like makes us pay quadruple the price in medical medicines and all that stuff. Our insurance is super expensive. There's no free college. There's no like the cost of living is crazy. Homelessness is like the highest it's ever been. It's hard to get a home. It's that's everything the government's doing, right? So Europeans hear this and they're like, yeah, so it must be crazy in the United States. It is. But then it's like when they hear people like me being like, oh, I got a 3 month paternity leave, full pay. They're like, what? I thought the government sucks. It does suck. We're not talking about the government. The government isn't hooking me up. It's my company that's hooking me up. This government works on capitalism. So it's not about, hey, move to the United States for a better life. It's not, because it's not. It's not like that. It's move to the United States and work for a good company to hook you up. So people always think like, I'm gonna move to the United States for the American dream, because my country's not providing. Like neither is this one. This country's not providing either at all. It's companies that provide. Like for example, if Amazon, Whole Foods, Google, all these like these chain big conglomerate companies, if they were based out of Mexico or Venezuela or Brazil, people would be jumping the borders to go to those countries too, because that's where those companies to make money is at. Like here, it's I just happen to work for a company that the benefits are off the chain, off the chain. So the country I live in isn't hooking me up with the paternity leave. It's the company that's doing that, and this guy couldn't compute that. So it's not a big deal. It's I'm you know be happy, you know, European, not just Europeans, but like a lot of like Asia, so a lot of different countries in this world, do the whole like free medical insurance, free everything for kids under 18, free college, free which I think is great. I don't understand why we don't do it here. I mean, I do understand, but I just don't get like why it's so. It's wild wild west over here, yo. It's so crazy. It's wild wild west. Like you can't have dreams in this country and survive. Like like the typical like dreams that you want. You better have a side dream. You better have a side. like like I remember one time I got into it with one of my leaders a few years ago, and I make good money. Like I make good money at the company I work for as a butcher. I do really well. especially here in New York City, where this city actually pays the most for being a butcher in the United States. So I make good money here. But I remember one time, and I haven't even been a butcher for that long. I've only been a butcher for a few years, like 2, 3 years. And I remember one time I got into it with my manager, and it wasn't bad. It was just like I don't argue with managers. Like I'm really respectful, but I had a manager that just didn't like questioning, and I'm big on that. Like I question. I'll be like, why is this? Why that? You know? And I got into it. And I just had a bad day with him, you know. So I went home, and I got on this phone, and I did my thing. I was like, I'm looking for another job because, you know, like what do I have a special like I'm in a profession that's special. Like I have to be at this company. Like no other companies offer butcher positions. Like like so I started looking and just comparing other people's pay where compared to what I do in my company, it was significantly. That's the only downside to working for a big conglomerate company that pays well and gives you good benefits. Um, you just end up stuck. You just end up stuck with being at this place that you're like, man, like I remember I shadowed so I shadowed a couple like famous butcher shops in New York, um, without telling my job, obviously, because I don't think you're supposed to. But I shadowed them on my days off. Like where basically you just go in and you shadow a particular butcher shop for like a shift, like 4 to 8 hours, and you just hang out and just watch, and you see what they do. And it was like I was hella impressed. One of them was in Chelsea Market. Another one was over here in Upper East Side. Um, my favorite one was just the old school butcher shops here in New York City are just so they've been around for over 100 years. They just know what they're doing. They're so impressive, and I learned so much just from that one shift that I couldn't. I don't know. I just really was like, wow. I really hope I can stay in touch with these folks and get a job here because this is really impressive, right? And then of course I left, and then I kept in contact with them, and because they weren't hiring at the time, and I followed a lot of them, all the butchers and the company itself on Instagram and everything, and I, kept in touch and kept in touch, and then one day they were hiring finally, and I felt like I was next in line, and they in so many words offered me a position, and they told me what they were offering, and that it was like crazy generous. And even the butchers, when I talked to them about it, they're like, "Yeah, that's really high for like a new hire, an experienced new hire." And it still wasn't even close to what I'm currently making, and that was so sad. It was so sad, and it just gets to the point where it's like, how much long, like working for a big conglomerate company, you really have to take it as it is. You got like, are you comfortable to be with this company for a good amount? Like, you got to pick your battles, really. You can't have it all to a certain extent, because a lot of the people that work there aren't there for like I'm there, and I'm as pathetic as it sounds. I get excited for like cutting and being a butcher and hooking people up and seeing the look on customers' eyes when I do something for them and I advise them and like what to eat, and like, when people are looking for something to eat, the first thing I say is like, what are you looking for? And like, oh, okay, like, well, what are you cooking? And like, well, let me suggest, because now it's not about the best cut of meat, it's about like what best cut of meat goes with the particular dish that you are trying to, so I hate saying I have a passion for my job, but to a certain extent I do. But a lot of people I work with aren't there for those reasons, and that's okay. but when I was at those other butcher shops and I was working with them, they had that magic in their eyes. Like they really loved being there. And they were like, they had this skill set that they're like, man, you can see they've been doing this for years. But they also had this like mentality of like, they're also super willing to learn and grow. And a lot of these guys were older than me. Some of them were younger, and like just that, I just like that mentality. I like the mentality. Is like, yeah, this is what we do, yo. Like this is what we do. Like, and they're all. I mean, they'll pull out their phones and Google something because they don't know. Like they're humble about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I want to be like that. Like I want to be the type of butcher where I'm like, I don't know it all. I'm good at what I do, but I'm not the best. And other people do it better than me. A lot of other people do it better than me. And I want to be open minded to be like, let me see how you do it. Let me see the, oh, I don't know about that. Let me Google it. Let me, like, I don't know. And that type of energy was great at these other butcher shops. But it's the classic, like, oh, you find something that you feel like it's an honorable career with like an honorable company and an honorable team, and they're also like proud of what they're doing, but we're gonna give you like $20, $22 an hour. He's like, yeah. And you guys are like the most, and you guys are like one of the most famous butcher shops, like, dare I say, in the country. I mean, there's butchers outside of New York City that I used to work with. They're like, "Oh, really? You got the shadow of that place?" Yo, I've heard like I've went in there one time and it was awesome. It was so impressive. And then they're like also just paying these people 20, 22, 23, I think 24 something tops. Like I think the veteran butcher that's there was making like a little bit under what I was making. The veteran butcher. And it's crazy because like I've been cutting meats, like I've been butchering since like technically 2021, 2020, 2021, but I wasn't certified as a butcher until 2 years ago. So what's up, Cindy? So I'm not a veteran whatsoever. I just happen to find, I just happen to find a career that I clicked with really well, and I just kept moving up the ranks. And to be honest with you, I didn't. I don't. I don't make good money at my company because every year they were noticing my hard work, and they're like, "You did so well this year. We're gonna give you this much." I didn't do that. Like that didn't happen. I'm making this much money because I earned it. Because I, well, first off, I wanted to be a butcher because the money, it paid more. If you get certified, you get more money. So like, let's say you're making, you know, a certain amount of money, you get like a huge bump in pay once you get certified. So you go into the butcher apprenticeship program, you automatically make a few dollars extra. And then when you graduate the butcher apprenticeship program, you make double that on top of that. So you get bumped up like $6, $7 right away. It's a big deal with the company I work for. So I wanted that. So I went into I did everything I could, and I actually jumped stores a lot. And what a lot of people don't know is that whenever you jump from one store to another, to another, to another, to another, like if you don't ask, they won't. But if you ask for a 6% raise, like, and there's been stores that haven't been accommodating. They're like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, okay, then I have to, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I'm gonna stay where I'm currently at. And some people will be like, "Oh, damn. Well, let me see what I can do. Let me hook." So you gotta kind of like play the game. So I make good money as a butcher, not because like people acknowledge my good skills. I make good money as a butcher because I just played the game. You know. So it's like the more you are willing to. I think what happens is people get comfortable at the particular store that they work in, or like in anything, not even just like where I work, but like I think people get comfortable where their work at. where they work at, like whatever office they're in, whatever butcher shop, whatever, wherever you work, you get comfortable at that particular location with the people that you work with, and you kind of have to get out of that mentality. Like it's you that make yourself comfortable where you work. Don't depend on other people, because then when you have that mentality, it makes it a lot easier to like transfer to another place. I like to transfer stores every year or two, just because it's healthy, and I think that's what got me up so high with money, because I just played the game. So then when I talk to these other butchers from um, famous butcher shops and I tell them how much I make, they're like, "Yo, y'all hiring?" Um, I've only been butchering for like 2 3 years. That's it. But I was just talking about how it's a career choice that this is what life is, in my opinion. Do things that interest you every few years. Every few years, switch up your career, switch it up, switch it up, switch it up, until you find something that like you can tolerate the most and pays you the most. And I feel like that's what I've found in being a butcher. Um, and I've done it all. So I've worked in radio, TV for a long. In my 20s, I worked for multiple different radio stations, starting with college stations, and then went into FM stations, and then I also worked for a bunch of TV stations and did a lot of TV work, CBS, ABC, NBC. Did that all the way out through my 20s into my early 30s. Then I went into nursing, did that for a little while. But in between those jobs, like I did a lot of like I worked at Best Buy in Circuit City. Remember Circuit City? I worked at AT&T. I sold cell phones. I worked at a car dealership. I worked at a restaurant. I worked at. I was a cook. Um, you got to just jump around from place to place until you find your niche. I mean, unless you're working at a place and you think like this is it, like I'm gonna just do this for the rest of my life, and you're comfortable with that and you're okay with that, then sure. But you know, like a lot of people think, oh, I do this thing and I'm comfortable, but it's never like I do this thing and I'm comfortable and I make the most money. No, it's like every job makes this much. So just try to find something that you tolerate the most and make the most money at. And I feel like this is my niche. And honestly, in a couple years, when we move to Finland, there's nothing in me that wants to work at another grocery store or big conglomerate company and be a butcher there. Not even like if I find like a cool mom and pop butcher shop in Finland, there's nothing in me that wants to do that. I just want to start my own shit. And I know that sounds crazy. I'm in my 40s. I'll be on my late 40s when we're finally over there. But I've invested so like for example, there's only I just did a whole list of things I did throughout the years, right? Like all the jobs I've had. Out of all the jobs I've had, there's only two, maybe three. I'm going with the two. One of them was going to be nursing, but I feel like I only did that for like 3 or 4 years. Um, so I'm not like I'm going to start my own nursing practice. Like I'm not. No. Um, I feel like radio, really just DJing. I did start my own business in DJing when I was in my 20s, because I got to a level where I was so comfortable DJing because I had it down packed. I knew exactly what I was doing. That profession and this profession, butchering, are the only two professions in my life that I've ever felt like I can do this. I can do this on my own. Like I don't need to, and of course, like I don't want to do it the old school way where I go and I get a loan and then I find a workspace, aka like a butcher shop, and then I start finding like places to buy the meat from, then I merchandise it myself, Then I open up a butcher shop and I just sit there and wait and hope that people come in and buy my steaks. Like, I've learned throughout the years that, especially nowadays, you have to be more than just like it's like the mentality of opening up a restaurant. Like, if I have a good idea for a food thing, let me open up a restaurant. You don't start right away with the restaurant. What you do is you start making the thing that you're good at cooking, and you start selling it to your neighbors. You start cooking it at home, selling it to your neighbors. Build Number one, build that website, and then see what happens. Like, if you can get your business successful enough to sell a decent amount to cover all your expenses on your website or selling it in person, then you think about the next step, which would be like a food truck, and then do that. Now that becomes successful after a year. Then you move on to a restaurant. That's the type of mentality I have. So, like, let's say I want to open up my own butcher shop, right? I'm not gonna go to Finland and right away go down to the bank and be like, "Hey man, I need a loan so I can open up my own butcher." No, like, I'm just gonna like start from the bottom. So the cheapest but biggest bang for your buck when it comes to in the butcher business, sausages. And what do they love the most in Finland? Sausages. So what I'm thinking about doing in a couple of years when I move to Finland is starting my own sausage thing. And making sausages, like American style sausages, is really easy. It's really simple. You just buy a bunch of pork butts, boneless, in bulk. So, like, you're looking at like a 50, 60 pound box. And you kind of trim up take all the crap off, you trim it off, and then you cut it into chunks, and then you grind it twice, and then you add seasoning. That's it. That's all you gotta do. And then of course, you buy the casing, and you put it in the sausage stuffer, and then you crank them out. I can just get like a cheap cranker. I've done those before plenty of times. So, but here's the thing: making sausages just alone, like, isn't gonna be enough. And Finland has a very, like, huge population of dog lovers. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make some, like, how do I not dog friendly, people friendly dog sausages. So I'm thinking, and it's so easy to make like fresh dog sausages, right, on the side, and just sell both and see what sells the most. And I'm gonna sell it out the crib. Obviously you gotta go get a permit and all that stuff. But they also have like a market in the area where we're planning on moving to, and it costs like $35 to get your own section of the market. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna bring out the grill out there and just sell them right there. So it's 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 fun to have these ideas. Never think you're too old to change, to have these ideas, because I always, like, every like few years I'm always switching up. So look at me just going. Look, I've been ranting for 35 minutes about the most random shit. And okay, I think I gotta feed this one. This little one's been napping like crazy. I know usually when I do lives in the morning on a weekday, they don't do very well, but I was just in the mood. So I do want to appreciate everybody coming in here and saying hi and listening when I stupid rants. And, you know, this live isn't probably going to do very well to begin with, but it's okay. That's the fun part about lives. You know when these do well? Oh, bye, Cindy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for stopping in. Thank you for the thumbs up. You have a great day, okay? But yeah, I think jumping on here, doing lives at night when all these punk asses are awake, doing nothing, like 12 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Megana. All right, Megan. How are you? Got 14 people in here, and like I've only had like, who else is in here, yo? Can everybody please, what's up? Show me who you are. Tell me where you're hitting me up from. Where you at? Where is everybody at? And make sure to hit that thumbs up. Make sure to hit it, and let me know where where you guys come. Where's everybody at? Mama is sleeping right now, and so is Rolly. Rolly's right next to me, and I gotta wake him up here in a few minutes to feed him. Um, but they're doing good. They're doing good. What's been happening lately is um, I'll stay up late taking care of the baby till about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, while Mama sleeps at night like that. And then when I go to bed, um, we have to feed Rolly every 2 hours because of his jaundice. So basically, like let's say for example, I go to bed at 1 a.m. Right? I make sure his diaper's changed and he's fed right before we go to bed. So then that means we don't have to mess with him till 3 a.m. And wifey at this point has been sleeping from 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. So then she can relax all the way till 3 a.m. And then at 3 a.m., she has an alarm set to wake up, feed him. And she tries to go back to sleep, but a lot of times she doesn't. So she just stays up sometimes, or she'll like get a couple more hours. Um, but I go to bed by like 1 a.m. or midnight, and then she takes over. And then I'll wake up at like 8 a.m. and she'll be wrapping up the last few whatever with Rolly, and I'll take care of him from like 8 a.m. Like right now it's 10:45, and I'm gonna let wifey sleep till like 1 p.m. Yes, he's half Mexican, half Finnish. Um, yeah, I like to say he's just Mexican because our genes are just. He looked like a Mexican. He don't even look Finnish to me because every day that goes by, because babies come out looking white, but every day that goes by, that boy is browner and browner and browner, and his hair is dark, and then he looks like me. That boy Mexican. But yes, he was born in the United States, obviously, so he's from New York, born and raised in New York. So yeah, so a lot of diversity in this little baby. He got a father that was born in Mexico. I was born in Mexico, moved to the United States when I was literally just a baby. I was like 1.5 years old, 2 years old. And then wifey, 100% Finnish, from Finland, born and raised in Finland. And she moved to the United States when she was in her late 20s for me. And now look at this one. It's great. His eye color's brown. I feel like they're light brown, but she's saying they're dark brown like me. But every day that goes by, they get lighter, like a lighter and lighter and lighter, a little bit. We have I have a sister-in-law, her sister, and she is with her man is Bengali, I think. He's from Bangladesh. So and he's brown. He's dark, dark dude, like you know what I mean. And they had a kid together, and her name's Alicia, and she looks like very Mexican, and like it's funny when I say that because they're like, there's no Mexicans in Finland. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like white girl mixed with a Bengali dude, like it looks like you made a Mexican baby. It's just funny. A lot of the brown people in Finland, which is a very small amount of people, are Turkish and Bangladesh and Asian, some kind of Asian. So it's a lot of the ethnic food in Finland is really good stuff. And I feel like in specifically Helsinki, like the capital of Finland, it's there's also a lot of Africans there, so you get a lot of African food there, and it's really cool. One of the barber shops, because whenever I move to a different place, I look up barber shops right away. One of the barber shops is run by like this African family, and I think they're from Ghana, no, not Ghana, Nigeria, and they cut really good hair. And I gotta hit the second I move to Finland, I gotta hit them up because I gotta get this stuff right. When I talk about starting a new business and everything, like I'm watching a commercial right now of starting your own businesses, and you have to like really dumb it down. Like, there's a lot of idiots that start businesses, and if they can do it, how long before we go back to work? I'm scheduled to come back to work right before Christmas, and wifey is scheduled to go back to work um, late January or February or something like that. So, oh my God, I've been ranting. All right, I gotta wake up this little one. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little bit. Sorry that this live was a little bit boring. Um, I will be going live later on today on TikTok if you want to check it out. Make sure to like. Oh, I did a bagels and lox video on YouTube yesterday. Make sure to go like it and share it. And I gotta go feed this little one. You guys want to see him? You guys want to see him? He little. All right, y'all. See you later.